Ambassador Juwu Park took a deep breath as the doors to the Galactic Council chamber slid open. The massive circular room was unlike anything humans had ever built, walls that seemed to shimmer between solid and gas, lighting that came from nowhere and everywhere, and seating arranged in a perfect spiral that defied Earth physics. 12 alien representatives watched her enter. They had vastly different forms, some with multiple limbs, others with none, some with recognizable faces, others with sensory organs Juwu couldn't begin to understand. Yet all shared one thing: intense curiosity about the newest species to join galactic society. "Ambassador Park of Earth, we welcome you," said a tall, slender being with silver skin that rippled like water. This was Dohan, the council leader. His voice came through Juwu's translator with perfect clarity. "You are the first human to stand before the full council." Juwu bowed slightly. "I am honored to represent Earth and humanity. We look forward to peaceful exchange and friendship with all species." Dohan nodded, an apparently universal gesture. "Before any species joins our community, we must understand their basic biology and social structures. This prevents complications. Our science team has analyzed the data your government provided." A blue-skinned being with 4 arms rose from his seat. This was Taejun, Chief Science Officer. His large eyes blinked vertically instead of horizontally. "Ambassador, we found discrepancies in our biological scans," Taejun said, his tone professional but confused. "We need clarification on human reproductive patterns." Juwu shifted uncomfortably. Her briefing had covered many potential first contact scenarios, but detailed discussions of human reproduction hadn't been high on the list. "I'll answer as best I can," she replied cautiously. Taejun pressed a button on his wrist device, projecting a holographic image of human reproductive organs. Juwu maintained her diplomatic composure despite her embarrassment. "Our scans indicate humans are constantly fertile," Taejun stated. "Both males and females maintain reproductive capability at all times, without seasonal constraints. Is this correct?" "Yes, that's generally accurate," Juwu confirmed, "though individual fertility varies." Murmurs spread through the chamber. One counselor, a being with translucent skin through which complex organs could be seen pulsing, leaned forward. "How often do your people reproduce?" asked this counselor, named Minja. "That varies greatly by individual choice," Juwu explained. "Some humans choose never to have children. Others might have 1 to 3 offspring over their lifetime." "No, you misunderstand," Minja clarified. "How often do you engage in reproductive activity?" Juwu finally understood the source of confusion. Humans separate reproduction from the act itself. The activity can occur without resulting in offspring." The chamber fell utterly silent. "You mean to say," Taejun spoke slowly, "that humans engage in reproductive behavior without reproducing?" "Yes. We have methods to prevent conception while still engaging in the activity." "And how often does this occur?" Dohan asked, his silver skin darkening with what Juwu assumed was concern. "It varies enormously," Juwu replied honestly. "Some humans might engage in such activity multiple times daily, others weekly, monthly, or not at all." The council erupted in shocked exclamations. One reptilian counselor actually fell backward off his seat. Dohan raised all 4 of his hands, calling for order. "Ambassador Park," he said when the chamber quieted, "I don't think you understand the gravity of what you're describing. Most spacefaring species reproduce once every 10 to 100 cycles. The energy requirements and biological toll make more frequent reproduction impossible." Juwu hadn't expected this reaction. "Our biology evolved differently," she explained. "Human reproduction is relatively low energy compared to our other bodily functions." "And you do this for pleasure?" asked a plant-like being called Jinmu, whose flowers visibly wilted as he spoke. "Partly for pleasure, yes," Juwu admitted. "Also for emotional bonding between partners." The council members exchanged troubled glances. Dohan conferred quietly with several members before addressing Juwu again. "Ambassador, Your species' reproductive capacity raises serious concerns. A species that can reproduce so rapidly could overwhelm ecosystems and planetary resources within generations. But we don't, Zhu countered. Earth's population has stabilized. Most developed nations have declining birth rates. We've learned to balance our biological capabilities with responsible choices. Taejin seemed unconvinced. Your records show your population doubled in less than a century. Such growth is unprecedented among council species. Jiwoo realized she was facing an unexpected diplomatic crisis. What humans considered normal biology was seen as potentially dangerous by the galactic community. Perhaps, she suggested carefully, we could arrange for your xenobiologists to study human reproduction more thoroughly, and for human scientists to learn about your species. Cultural exchange might help us understand each other better. Doan considered this. A reasonable proposal. The Council will discuss it privately. Until then, humanity's application for full membership status will be placed on hold. As Jiwoo left the chamber, she quickly messaged Earth Command. First contact proceeding with complications. Urgent briefing needed on alien reproductive biology. Humanity's sex life may have just become our biggest diplomatic challenge. Behind her, the Council was already debating whether humans were a biological threat to galactic stability, or simply the strangest species they'd ever encountered. Jiwoo stood at the observation window of the Galactic Council's science vessel, watching Earth rotate slowly below. The blue-green planet looked so peaceful from space. She sighed, thinking about the diplomatic mess she was now facing. The door slid open with a soft hiss. Minjae, the crystalline counselor, entered. Her body sparkled as it caught the light from Earth. While most council members remained wary of humans, Minjae had shown genuine curiosity. Ambassador Park, I hope I'm not disturbing you, Minjae said. Not at all, Zhu replied. I was just thinking about our situation. Minjae moved beside her, her crystal form making soft tinkling sounds. I've been researching human reproduction. It's quite remarkable. Remarkable isn't the word the council used yesterday, Zhu said with a small smile. I believe dangerous and concerning came up more often. The council fears what it doesn't understand, Minjae admitted. My species reproduces once every 70 years. The process requires 3 months of energy storage, followed by a splitting that leaves the parent weak for nearly a year. Jiwoo turned to face the alien. That explains the shock. For us, reproduction is energy-intensive, but not debilitating. Precisely, Minjae said. For most advanced species, reproduction became more complex and resource-demanding as we evolved. The Council cannot understand how humans develop technology while maintaining such reproductive efficiency. The door opened again, and Taejin entered with several data tablets. The blue-skinned scientist still seemed uncomfortable around Jiwoo. Ambassador, I have more questions, he said stiffly. Of course, Jiwoo replied. Taejin placed a tablet on the table, displaying graphs of human population growth. These statistics suggest humans could potentially double their population every 20 to 30 years. Yet your recent history shows declining birth rates. Why? Jiwoo considered how to explain. As our societies developed, having many children became less necessary. In agricultural societies, more children meant more workers for farms. In modern societies, raising children became more expensive and time-consuming. You control your reproduction based on economic factors, Taejin asked, blinking his vertical eyelids rapidly. Partly, yes. Also personal choice, career goals, and many other factors. Minji's crystalline form glowed with interest. Fascinating. My species cannot choose. When the reproductive cycle begins, it cannot be stopped. Taejin still looked troubled. But you could reproduce much more rapidly if you wished. This is what concerns the Council. A new voice joined the conversation. The Council's concerns are justified. They turned to see Councillor Doyen entering, his insectoid form moving with precise steps. Doyen had been the most vocal opponent of human integration. Counselor Doyen. Juwu greeted him with a respectful nod. Ambassador, he replied coldly. I've reviewed your planet's history. Your species multiplied and spread across your world, consuming resources and driving other species to extinction. The galaxy cannot risk such unchecked expansion. Juwu felt a flash of defensive anger, but kept her diplomat's composure. With respect, Counselor, you're describing humanity's past, not our present. We've learned from our mistakes. Have you? Doyen clicked his mandibles skeptically. Your people still engage in reproductive behavior constantly, without the biological constraints that limit other species. Our biology doesn't define our choices. Juwu insisted. Yes, we can reproduce more frequently than your species, but we choose not to. Most human families have only 1 or 2 children, if any. Taejun interjected. The data supports the ambassador's claims. Human birth rates have declined substantially in developed regions. Doyen remained unmoved. What stops you from changing your minds? If humans decided to maximize reproduction, you could overwhelm planets within generations. The same thing that stops any intelligent species from making self-destructive choices, Juwu replied. Wisdom, foresight, and social responsibility. Minji's crystals glowed thoughtfully. Perhaps we're approaching this incorrectly. Instead of seeing human reproduction as a threat, we might consider it an evolutionary advantage. Doyen made a sharp, dismissive gesture. The Council will never accept a species with such unpredictable growth potential. I propose restricting humans to their home system until proper biological controls can be implemented. Juwu felt ice in her veins. Biological controls. You're suggesting interfering with human reproduction. For galactic security, Doyen stated flatly. That would be completely unacceptable, Juwu said firmly. Humans would never join a galactic community that demanded such changes. The tension in the room grew thick. Taejun looked uncomfortable, while Minji's crystals dimmed with concern. There must be another solution, Minji said. Ambassador, would your government agree to a cultural exchange? Perhaps if council representatives visited Earth to observe human society firsthand. Juwu seized the opportunity. That's an excellent suggestion. Seeing how we live would address many misconceptions. Doyen's antennae twitched with disapproval. The full council must vote on such a proposal. Then let's bring it to them, Minji said. I believe understanding is preferable to fear. As they left for the council chamber, Juwu realized how deeply alien reproduction was connected to their cultures and worldviews. This wasn't just about biology. It was about fundamentally different approaches to life itself. What humans took for granted, control over their reproductive choices, seemed revolutionary to these ancient species. Somehow, she needed to turn this biological misunderstanding into a bridge instead of a barrier. The morning sun filtered through cherry blossoms in Seoul's Central Park as Juwu led 3 alien representatives along a winding path. After weeks of debate, the council had approved a limited cultural exchange. Now, Juwu had the challenging task of helping these aliens understand human society. Hyunwoo, the council's chief anthropologist, walked beside her. His spindly, 4-legged body attracted curious glances from passing humans, though most Seoul residents had grown somewhat accustomed to alien visitors in the 2 months since first contact. There are so many small humans, Hyunwoo observed, his translator rendering his clicks and whistles into Korean. Are they all from the same reproduction cycle? Juwu smiled. No, those children range from about 2 to 12 years old. Human children grow at different rates and are born throughout the year. Sunmi, a floating jellyfish-like being who served as the council's biologist, drifted closer. Her translucent body pulsed with blue light as she spoke. Remarkable. You maintain multiple offspring at different developmental stages simultaneously. Yes, that's common for human families. Juwu explained as they reached a playground. Look there. That woman is watching 3 children who appear to be about 2, 5, and 8 years old. Ki-yun. The third visitor and most skeptical council member focused his compound eyes on the scene, all from one reproductive pair. Most likely, Jiwoo nodded. Many human families have multiple children born years apart. The aliens watched in fascination as children climbed, swung, and slid on the playground equipment. Parents chatted on nearby benches, some holding infants, others checking their phones. The energy expenditure must be enormous, Sumi pulsed. How do the parents maintain their own biological functions while supporting multiple developing offspring? It's challenging, Jiwoo acknowledged. That's why human communities developed support systems, extended families, child care centers, schools. Look there. She pointed to a building adjacent to the park where a group of children around the same age were being led outside by teachers. That's a school. Children spend much of their day there learning while their parents work. Hyunwoo's recording device hummed softly. Most spacefaring species evolved towards single, infrequent reproduction as technology advanced. The energy required for both brain development and reproduction typically forces a biological choice, intelligence or fertility. Humans somehow maintain both, Sumi added, her lights flickering with excitement. Ki-yun remained skeptical. This social organization seems inefficient. Each family unit independently raises offspring rather than centralizing the process. An elderly couple walked past, holding hands and smiling at the children. Who are they? Hyunwoo asked. They appear past reproductive age. Grandparents, perhaps, Jiwoo explained. Humans often live decades beyond their reproductive years and help raise their children's children. Post-reproductive longevity. Sumi pulsed brightly. Another evolutionary rarity. Most species die shortly after their final reproduction. They continued walking until they reached a small cafe. Jiwoo ordered tea for herself and special nutrient solutions for her guests. As they sat, a young couple at a nearby table caught Hyunwoo's attention. They are engaged in pair bonding behavior, he observed quietly. But I detect no immediate reproductive intent. This confirms what you explained about human sexuality being separated from reproduction. Jiwoo nodded. Relationship bonds help create stable environments for raising children, even when reproduction isn't the immediate goal. Ki-yun's antennae twitched. This seems dangerously unregulated. What prevents population explosion? Personal choice, Jiwoo said simply. Most humans today choose to have fewer children than their biological capacity allows. Education, career goals, financial considerations, all influence these decisions. Voluntary reproductive restraint without biological limitation, Sumi noted. Quite remarkable. Their conversation was interrupted when a woman approached their table, pushing a stroller with twin babies. "Excuse me," she said politely. "My children have never seen real aliens before. Would you mind if they looked at you for a moment?" After Jiwoo translated, Hyunwoo and Sumi moved closer to the stroller. The babies stared with wide eyes before breaking into giggles. 2 offspring from 1 reproductive event. Sumi pulsed excitedly. Multiple births are extremely rare among council species. Later that evening, in their temporary quarters, the 3 aliens discussed their observations. Jiwoo had left them alone to process their experiences. Their reproductive flexibility is unlike anything in known space, Hyunwoo stated, recording his findings. Yet they've created social structures that balance this capacity with responsible growth. Sumi's body glowed thoughtfully. What if human biology isn't a threat, but an adaptation we don't understand? Their reproductive system allows rapid recovery from population collapse, while their social systems prevent overcrowding. Even Ki-yun seemed less certain of his previous position. Their children develop differently too, more slowly, with extended learning periods. Perhaps this extended childhood enables their remarkable adaptability. I must report to the council, Hyunwoo decided. Humans aren't biological invaders. They're evolutionary innovators. Their approach to reproduction and child-rearing might even offer solutions to species facing extinction. Outside their window, the lights of Seoul sparkled as millions of humans went about their lives. unaware that their most basic biological functions had just become the most fascinating subject in galactic science. The Galactic Council chamber hummed with tension as 48 council members from 12 species took their seats. This emergency session had been called specifically to address the human question. Ju stood at the center of the chamber, feeling the weight of Earth's future on her shoulders. Council leader Dohan's silvery form rippled as he addressed the gathering. We convene today to determine humanity's status within the galactic community. Our observers have completed their assessment of human society, with particular focus on their reproductive patterns. Screens around the chamber displayed images from Earth, families in parks, busy streets, hospitals, and schools. Hyunwoo stepped forward, his forelegs moving with careful precision. My team's findings challenge our initial concerns, he began. While humans maintain biological capacity for rapid reproduction, their social structures impose voluntary limits. Their population growth has stabilized across most regions. Councillor Doyen immediately objected, his insectoid form rising from his seat. Voluntary restraint is not sufficient protection. What happens when humans spread to multiple planets? Their numbers could grow exponentially. Murmurs of agreement spread through half the chamber. Ju noticed the council was clearly divided, with 6 species supporting human integration and 6 opposed. The vote stands at 6-6, announced Doan. Half believe humans represent a biological threat to galactic stability. Ju was about to respond when Hyunwoo spoke again, his voice unusually urgent for the typically reserved anthropologist. What if human biology isn't a threat, but a solution? He asked, causing immediate silence. 3 council species currently face extinction due to reproductive collapse. The chamber grew utterly still. This was information Ju hadn't been privy to. Hyunwoo continued, activating a new display. The Nari haven't produced viable offspring in 20 cycles. Their population has declined by 60% in 2 generations. A representative of the Nari, a tall, willowy being with bark-like skin, lowered her head in acknowledgement of this painful truth. The Wujin birth rate has fallen 90% in 4 generations, Hyunwoo continued, gesturing to the aquatic delegates. And the Seojin have not had a successful hatching in 7 cycles. Ju suddenly understood the deeper currents of galactic politics. Some species were literally dying out, while humans were seen as too fertile, an ironic cosmic imbalance. You're suggesting humans could help? She asked carefully. Your genetic diversity and reproductive adaptability might save dying species, Hyunwoo confirmed. Human medical science has developed assisted reproduction technologies that could be adapted for other species. The Nari representative rose slowly. Is this possible, Ambassador? Could your people help us? Before Ju could answer, Doyen interrupted. This is precisely what concerns us. Humans would become essential to other species' survival, giving them undue influence. The chamber erupted in debate. Ju waited patiently until Dohan called for order. Ambassador Park, Dohan addressed her directly. What is humanity's position on this matter? Ju hadn't been authorized to discuss helping other species reproduce, but she knew what Earth would want. Humans have always sought to preserve endangered species. If our medical knowledge could help prevent extinctions, I believe my government would offer assistance without political conditions. The Nari representative's bark-like skin glowed with a faint green light, a sign of hope. Even one viable offspring would mean everything to my people. Taejin, who had remained silent until now, activated his console. I've analyzed human reproductive medicine. Their techniques for addressing infertility could indeed be adapted for Nari biology. The genetic compatibility factors are promising. We cannot make this decision hastily, warned Ki-yun. Allowing humans to control reproduction of council species raises serious ethical questions. More serious than extinction. Asked the Wujin representative, their fin-like appendages rippling with emotion. Ju recognized the moment for what it was. A potential breakthrough. What if we establish a joint research initiative? Earth scientists working alongside council biologists, with full transparency and ethical oversight from all parties. Sunmi, who had observed Earth's families firsthand, pulsed her agreement. The human approach to reproduction, separating the physical process from the social one, offers new paradigms for species facing reproductive challenges. I propose a compromise, said Dohan after consulting with several members. Earth will be granted probationary membership with a special designation as biological consultants to those species requesting assistance. A joint ethics committee will oversee all reproductive cooperation. Doyen and his allies looked unhappy but didn't object further. We will vote, Dohan announced. One by one, the council members registered their positions. When the final tally appeared, it showed 9 species in favor, 3 opposed. The motion carries, Dohan declared. Ambassador Park, we welcome humanity to the galactic community with the provisions stated. As the session adjourned, the Nari representative approached Juwu. Up close, Juwu could see the deep lines of age and sorrow etched into her bark-like skin. My name is Zoe, she said softly. I am the last fertile female of my lineage. For 20 cycles, I have tried to produce offspring without success. She touched Juwu's hand with a branch-like finger. Today, for the first time, I feel hope. Juwu felt the enormous responsibility settling on her shoulders. What had begun as a bizarre cultural misunderstanding about human sexuality had transformed into something profound. A chance for humanity to help preserve the incredible diversity of galactic life. I'll contact Earth immediately, she promised Zoe. We'll begin as soon as possible. 1 year after Earth's conditional acceptance into the Galactic Council, the medical research station orbiting Jupiter buzzed with activity. The station had been built specifically for the Joint Species Reproductive Research Initiative, now the most important scientific collaboration in human history. Juwu walked through the main laboratory where human doctors worked alongside alien scientists. She had become the official liaison between Earth and the Council, a role that had grown far beyond her original diplomatic assignment. Ambassador Park, called Dr. Yunjin Kim, Earth's leading geneticist and the project's director. We're ready for the announcement. Juwu nodded, feeling both nervous and excited. Today would determine whether humanity's unique place in the galactic community would be cemented or rejected. They entered the conference room, where representatives from all 12 council species waited. The Nari representative, Zoe, sat at the front, her bark-like skin looking healthier than when Juwu had first met her. Yunjin stepped to the podium and activated the display screen behind him. Thank you all for coming today. After 1 year of intensive research and collaboration, I'm pleased to report our first major success. The room fell silent as images appeared on the screen, microscopic views of cellular development. The human-assisted reproductive program has yielded its first viable Nari embryo, Yunjin announced. Using a modified version of human in vitro fertilization techniques adapted to Nari biology, we've achieved what was thought impossible, the first new Nari life in 2 decades. Zoe's skin glowed bright green with joy. Several other representatives gasped or made sounds their translators didn't convert. The embryo is developing normally, Yunjin continued. All genetic markers indicate it will grow into a healthy Nari infant. We expect full gestation to complete in approximately 4 months. Dohan, the council leader, rose from his seat. This achievement exceeds our expectations. Has there been progress with other species as well? Yunjin nodded. We've developed promising protocols for the Wujin and have preliminary research for the Seojin. Each species presents unique challenges, but the principles we've discovered through human reproductive medicine have proven remarkably adaptable. Juwu watched Doyen, who had been humanity's strongest opponent. Even his insectoid features couldn't hide his amazement. How many offspring could this technology produce? Doyen asked, his tone notably lacking its usual hostility. With proper facilities and willing participants, we could potentially restore all 3 endangered species to sustainable population levels within 50 years, Yunjin replied. The conference room erupted in excited conversation. Species that had existed for thousands of years longer than humans now looked to Earth scientists as potential saviors. Later, as Juwu and Yunjin walked through the station's observation deck overlooking Jupiter's swirling clouds, they reflected on the unexpected turn of events. When I was sent to meet the council, Juwu said, I never imagined our reproductive biology would become our greatest diplomatic asset. Yunjin smiled. What they initially feared became what they needed most. It's ironic that our primitive reproductive system turns out to be more adaptive than their supposedly advanced ones. The council biologists explained it to me. Juwu said, most species evolved toward less frequent, more energy-efficient reproduction as they advanced technologically. It seemed logical. Why maintain constant fertility when you live for centuries and have abundant resources? But it left them vulnerable, Yunjin noted. One environmental change, one genetic mutation, and suddenly they couldn't adapt fast enough. Meanwhile, humans kept our messy, energy-intensive constant fertility cycle. Their conversation was interrupted by a call from Earth Command. Juwu activated her communicator to see the Secretary General's face. Ambassador Park, Dr. Kim, congratulations on today's breakthrough. The secretary said, I just received word from the council. They'd voted unanimously to grant Earth full membership status, with special designation as biological consultants to the galactic community. Juwu felt a wave of relief and pride. Thank you, Madam Secretary. This means everything for Earth's future. There's more, the secretary continued. The council has approved our request to establish human colonies on 2 previously restricted planets. They've recognized that our species' reproductive diversity is an evolutionary advantage they want distributed across multiple systems. After the call ended, Yunjin laughed softly. So our tendency to make babies frequently just earned us 2 new planets, plus the biggest shift in interspecies relations in centuries, Juwu added. 2 weeks later, Juwu stood in the medical bay, watching Zoe interact with the artificial womb containing the developing Nari embryo. The bark-like alien placed her hand against the transparent surface, her skin glowing with maternal emotions that transcended species differences. My people have a saying, Zoe told Juwu. Life finds new paths when old ones close. For centuries, we thought our path was ending. Now we see it was merely changing direction. Earth has a similar saying, Juwu replied. Life finds a way. When Juwu returned to the council chambers for the formal ceremony granting Earth full membership, the atmosphere was transformed from that first tense meeting. What had once been suspicion and fear was now respect and gratitude. We formally recognize Earth as a full member of the Galactic Council, declared Doan, with special designation as biological consultants. As she accepted the ceremonial token of membership, Juwu thought about how strange the universe truly was. Humanity's supposedly primitive biological drive, the simple urge to reproduce frequently and enthusiastically, had become their greatest contribution to galactic civilization. How often do you do this? Had been asked in shock and horror. Now it was asked with hope and gratitude. The cosmic joke, Juwu thought, was that something so basic to human existence had turned out to be their most exotic and valuable trait.